Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k. So in one of our previous videos we did a wish list for it was a top 10, but it wasn't in any particular order, but it was a top 10 of things that we want to bring into the 10th edition from the core rulebook. Whether it's game mechanics, stratagems, all that kind of stuff. But as for today's video, we're going to be talking about something more Necron specific and what we want to see in the new Necron Codex when that does eventually get released. So that's what this video is about today, but before we get into that video, we've got a new sponsor on the channel, and it is the Vox Link. Don't know if you've seen it already in the description or in the intro of the actual video. Now, I'm going to show you a little clip. I think it's 1 minute long, maybe 2 minutes. It's quite a big thing, so yeah, hopefully you do watch it and give me some comments and some feedback at the end of the video. But yeah, here's the clip. Tell me what you think. Planet 40k here. I don't know about you guys, but I love wargaming. But sometimes it's just a pain in the butt finding players for a game. It's time for change, and I would like to introduce to you Vox Link. What is Vox Link, you ask? Well, it's an ultimate gaming community app. It has a game finder to find or host games within your area, no more posting on awful social media pages. Vox Link is the answer to finding your games, tournaments and events across your local community. It's got a built-in message board system to arrange your games and also has its own feedback system too. Vox Link is the next big thing in wargaming. However, we need your help to make the dream become a reality, so come and join the Vox Link on Kickstarter. There's going to be a free version of the app to suit everybody's budgets, and there'll also be bonus features for premium users. Vox Link just wants to make tapping into your local gaming community much easier than ever before. So join Planet 40k here on Vox Link, the ultimate tabletop community building app. So in some upcoming videos we will be talking more about some of the highlights that the Vox Link actually does, what it's going to bring to you. But for now, just know it's a Kickstarter, it's going to be pretty big, and yeah, I'm quite excited for it. So shout out to Vox Link, and yeah, get involved in that in the link below. Okay, so let's get on to my wish list for the Necron Codex in 10th edition, whenever that comes out. It could be years from now, we don't know. But my wish list at this current time, which is the 12th of February as the time I'm filming this. But yeah, here we go. So, number 1, I've gone with Dynasty Customization. Now, currently in this current 9th edition codex we've got 6 generic dynasty codes, and then we've got the custom codes where you've got to pick from 2 different lists. We'll go on to that more in a later point in this video, but for the actual generic options there's no customization whatsoever. Now when you look at other factions, they're able to customize parts of their dynasty code or whatever sub-faction that they're going with. So for example, if you look at the Tyranny Codex, they've got 2 parts with 2 abilities within each high fleet, but you can swap out the second ability for another hyper-adaptive or hyper-adaptation, and you swap it out for one of the customized high fleet options if you like. We don't have that kind of option. We just get, if it's in the Hilak Dynasty, we get the Hilak Dynasty. Yes, OBSEC is great, but the -1 AP going to 0 AP in your own deployment zone, yeah, if you remember it, yeah, whatever. Most of the time I don't even remember it, if I'm honest with you, but it'd be really nice to swap that out when you are selecting your dynasty code and making your lists. So that is my number 1 choice for this wish list, which is just a little bit more customization with our dynasty codes. So number 2, I want to talk about the HQ area of the codex. I think it's just way too expensive at present. If you're looking at other factions and other armies within the 40k game, their HQs are just much better, much stronger, much more useful to their actual army, and they're much cheaper too. And that's the part that grinds me a little bit, just having really cheap characters that are actually really powerful, where we kind of get funneled into having, say, an Overlord. They're not the best in combat. Okay, the War Scythe is not too bad, but it's damage 2. It's only strength 7, it's not anything more than that. They're just kind of very mediocre, or maybe even under par in fact, especially in melee. The only one that's sort of worth anything for me is the Command Barge. At least it can shoot as well as fight. But even then, now you're talking a lot of points. I mean, what is the Command Barge at present? 145 points at base cost, and you went back on 5 points for the Gorse Cannon, 5 points for the War Scythe, maybe you're taking a Resurrection Orb. All of a sudden you've got 185 points that I've spent on a Command Barge. And those things they're not really that killy. When you think about it, that's a lot of points that you're getting the speed, you're getting the Lookout Sir ability, and I love the Command Barge, you know I love the Command Barge, but it's just way too expensive, and there's loads of other options that we can talk about. We can talk about all the other Overlord models, the named characters, they're all too expensive. Orokin the Diviner, the Scorpic Lord, yeah, just knock this down and make it in line with the rest of the 40k game. Number 3, I want to have a little moan about my new favourite unit in this codex, which is the Ghost Arks. Now, the way I use Ghost Arks is not the way they're supposed to be used really. I'm using them as battering rams and using them with OBSEC to try and take objectives and things like that. That's not really what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be repair barges, they're supposed to be a transport option for our Necron warriors, and a good anti-infantry unit because it's got all the Gauss flare arrays on the sides of the actual Ark itself. Now what I've got to complain about is why aren't the Necron warriors that are inside the Ghost Ark able to shoot out of the Ghost Ark? It's virtually open topped. Why isn't it open topped? They should be able to just shoot through the ribs of the actual Ghost Ark for me. Because as soon as you've got 10 Necron warriors inside the Ghost Ark, that becomes a problem for us because they're not holding objectives within the Ghost Ark. They've got to get out because they can't shoot in the Ghost Ark as well. So they've got to get out. So all it's really doing is getting them there and then it's got to stay there. But Necron warriors tend to work better in groups of 20 for reanimation protocols, or what they are at present anyway, 9th edition. So that could all change in fact. But at this moment in time, the way we see it, I think they need to give us the open topped ability for our Ghost Arks to match with some of the other units that are in the game. Number 4, we don't have any options to advance and charge within the Codex. Now we actually do, that's a little bit of a lie in fact. We do with the Annihilation Legion, with the Destroyer Cults, you do have the option of advancing and charging, but with the generic Codex, we don't have that option anywhere. And most factions, if not all factions that are trying to get into melee, they've got those options. So give us that option. Maybe it's a stratagem, maybe it's an ability, maybe give it to Ophidian Destroyers perhaps. They could be really useful for having an advance and charge move. Just give us that option, just give us that flexibility for our melee game. Number 5, well I've had this problem for quite a number of years now. It's to do with the Doomsday Ark as well as the Canoptic Doomstalker, and it's both of their weapons, isn't it? It's the fact that they've only got D6 hits and then the damage is also D6. They absolutely suck because of these two statistics within their weaponry. Now, okay, the D6 attacks, I can live with that. I can live with that. That gives you an average of 3 or 4, doesn't it? But the damage being D6 is just so unpredictable, unreliable, and the chances are it's not going to do anything. Maybe you pop off a Space Marine Intercessor at best. It's just not doing enough. And it's also got the blast keyword, so if it gets tagged in combat, it's not doing much anyway because you can't fire blast into combat. You can't fall back with it. Unless, of course, you've got the command protocol of Conquering Tyrant or a Royal Warden, perhaps, to get your core units out of dodge. But yeah, they need to sort out that D6 damage. Give it D3 plus 2, perhaps. I don't know. You let me know down in the comments below, but it can't be D6 because even if you get through all these, you get through the hit roll. In fact, you'll go before that. Even if you get through the actual number of hits you get, you've got to roll decent for that. Then you've got to actually hit with it on a 3+ at best. You could get bracketed to a 4+ or a 5+. Then you got to wound with the thing. Then you got to go through an armor save or an invulnerable save. Most likely an invuln save because it's already minus 5 AP, these weapons. And then once you've got through all that, you then roll the damage roll and you roll a 1. Okay, you've got to spend a command point to redo it. And then you can roll a 2. And it's just like, wow, what's the point of that? And then you've got to go through feel no pain saves if those exist as well. So yeah, give it a little bit more damage. It just makes it absolutely useless being D6. As for number 6, we've got something similar to point number 1 in this video, where we previously spoke about customizing dynasties. Well, in this current codex, when you want to do a custom dynasty, so I'm not talking about the generic ones anymore, but the custom codes, you have to select one option from the first list and then one option from the second list for your ancient dynasty custom code. Now I think we should just have one big list and just give us 2 options from the entire list there. That's what other factions have. I mean, Space Marines are an obvious example. They've just got one big list, you just select 2 from it, away you go. Now admittedly, the Tyranids have 3 different lists and you can't select 2 from the same list, but most of the options are pretty usable and the lists are all equal, whereas with our Circumstances of the Awakening list, there's only a few options and most of them are absolute garbage. And now we can't even pair Eternal Conquerors with anything, so that's another one that's kind of redundant. So yeah, just give us a little bit more flexibility with the custom codes there. On to number 7, I don't really know how to fix this one, but Reanimation Protocols needs a fix for multi-wound models. This has been a problem for a few years now. It's fantastic on 1 wound models because you just roll 1 dice, on a 5+, you get them back up again, no problem. But when you've got, say, a Locust Destroyer that has 3 wounds, you need to roll 3 dice and all 3 of the rolls need to be a 5+ roll, so the odds are not in your favour unless you've got something like a, well, even if you have got a Reanimator, that's a 4+ roll but with 3 dice. It still makes it quite difficult, and obviously the more wounds that each model has, the more difficult it is. If you've got a Canoptic Scarab, that's 4 wounds, a Canoptic Spider, that's 6 wounds. They need to think of a better way to reanimate multi-wound models. Now I don't know the answer to this, maybe we can keep a side pool of how many dice we've been able to get a 5+ roll on, and then we get to spend the dice on reanimation perhaps. Maybe that could work. In fact, that could work. Why can't we do that? Let me know down in the comments below, but I think that could work. Every time we lose a model, roll a dice, put it in the pool at the side. Whenever you want to spend it at the start of your command phase perhaps, you spend it and bring back models, whatever unit you want to bring them in. Now actually that, you know what, thinking about that, I don't know if that can work, because you would just save it for the bigger and bulkier units such as your Locust Heavy Destroyers and your Canoptic Spiders perhaps. Yeah, that wouldn't work, take that back. But yeah, we need to think of something that's better than this for multi-wound models. Number 8, we kind of lack a Killy character. Now, I know we've got the Nightbringer, but I'm talking about HQ specifically here. We've got the Nightbringer. He's one of the best Killy characters within the game, although, even though he got buffed recently, because he can now go through those -1 to damage things and Abaddon spoilers and all that kind of stuff. He can go through all that, we know that. But he is quite expensive, and other factions within the game seem to all have this Killy melee character, whether it's a Space Marine jump captain with a Thunder Hammer just going around smacking the crap out of everyone. You've got the Tyrannid Swarm Lord. Everyone seems to have this super melee character that can absolutely annihilate everyone. We don't seem to have that. I mean, we've got the Scorbeck Lord, but that's not really that Killy, and it is quite pricey. I mean, how much is the Scorbeck Lord at present? Let me just quickly check because I can't remember. 130 points. 130 points. Okay, he's Strength 6, Toughness 6, Wound 6. But I don't see him as a real Killy choppy character. I mean, his Strength goes to Strength 8, -4 AP, 3 damage, but it's a -1 to hit, so he's hitting on 3s. He's got the Flenting Claw, so he can have 8 attacks instead of 4. But that's just Strength 6. I just think we just lack a super melee character within the HQ section. If the Scorbeck Lord was like 180 points, but they gave him ultra stats, made him an absolute beast, where you could throw him up the battlefield on his own, and you know he's going to do damage like the Nightbringer would, then he'd be more usable. But our codex just seems to lack that melee-based character that you know is going to be a real threat to your opponent. So that's number 8. Let's get on to number 9. This is to do with the command protocols. Now, I'm not complaining too heavily about the command protocols because we got them, well, not recently. Last year, we got them changed so that we could do command protocols army-wide without needing a character within 6 inches. That was a huge change for us, and we also got an extra command protocol army-wide throughout the entire game as well, which is obviously really good for us. It makes us a lot more versatile with our lists. There's a lot more function with that command protocol all game round. The problem I've still got with it, if it's only a little problem, is the fact that we've got to pre-select them, or pre-game, you've got to put them in a specific order, and you kind of got to preempt what's going to happen in the game. Sometimes it works out absolutely perfectly, especially turn 1, turn 2, you can kind of guess what you're going to do with those. But when it gets to turn 3, turn 4, even turn 5, it's anyone's game, right? We just don't know. So what I would want from that codex in the 10th edition is to be able to select them as the turn happens. That's what most factions do, if not all factions. They get to select what's going to happen on the turn it's actually happening. Again, I'll relate to Tyranids there with their Synaptic Imperative abilities. They get to select them pre-turn. Or on the turn, sorry, not pre-turn. And even factions such as Space Marines or Custodies, okay, they are a little bit restricted with what they can select, but they can still do that within the actual turn rather than pre-game. So yeah, give us the options within the turn, so we can say, hey, you know what, turn 2, I could really use with the Protocol of Hungry Void right now. Let me activate that protocol, as opposed to waiting until, oh no, I've got it in turn 4. I'm going to have to wait all the way till turn 4 to actually use it. I mean, you could put that down to bad planning. Maybe you just get caught off guard with your opponent. Maybe they're using, I don't know, Raven Guard, and they're just absolutely jumping on your units from turn 1. And you want to be using something that will help you in that round, and you put it in round 4. Yeah, you don't want to get it until round 4, so it's going to be absolutely useless. By that time, you're probably dead. Then on to number 10, it still relates to reanimation protocols, but this time it's on not just multi-wound models, it's all models, and the complaint I've got is, why do we only use reanimation protocols against shooting attacks and melee attacks only? Why can't we use reanimation protocols against smite attacks? Why can't we use reanimation protocols against, in the morale phase when we're losing models? Why can't we just use it whenever it happens? Even if, say, a Ghost Ark blows up and we get some mortal wounds on our Necron warriors, we're not able to use command protocols. It's not a shooting attack and it's not a melee attack. So we don't get our reanimation protocols, and I think we should. At the end of the day, we're still trying to reanimate our Necron guys. Just because we lost a model from a Space Marine chainsword as opposed to an explosion from a Ghost Ark, we should still get it, right? So guys, that is my top 10 for the wish list for Necrons in 10th edition whenever we get that codex. Of course, a lot of things are going to change at that point. So some of these may actually be redundant, or some of these may already be in that codex when it does arrive. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you would add to my list or what you would take out my list, what you're already happy with. And yeah, let's just hope our new codex, when we do eventually get it, is good enough. Guys, thank you all for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.